Hello, my name is Tamika Campbell, founder and CEO of Dove's Global Marketing Concepts, a virtual platform where we create, promote, host live streaming for events and interviews for our clients along with our listening audience through our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. For more information, email us at dovsglobal@gmail.com or contact us at 428-2455. Doves Global, creating memorable moments as we socially connect you to the world.
Good evening, my humans, and welcome to Fearless Friday. Listen, I'm so excited to be here with you tonight, and this fabulous human is here going to have a conversation with us. We do every week. And listen, before we get started, because I let actionitis get over the top, right? So let's get protocol out of the way and we get right into it. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for guiding, protecting, and leading us throughout this day. We present this live to you, and we ask that everything that we've done and said would be to the honor and glory of your name, that someone would be blessed, strengthened, and encouraged. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Y'all! This my good human, y'all. This my human. I know him long time, y'all. I know him before he even had locks, y'all. Listen, I am so proud of this young human today and funny. This young man has grown tremendously. He has gone through, oh my goodness, all sorts of obstacles, challenges, but he still remained focused, dedicated, and driven as to what he wanted to do, how he's going to do it, and he did it. Regardless of the challenges that he had, he overcame them, and he is doing some big stuff in the United States of America, not America, America. Thanks. And so I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us a bit about his journey. Good afternoon, the Soil Guru. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show. And we are looking forward to hearing your story and your journey in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so you want to introduce me or I can just introduce
No,
myself?
I can leave that for you to do. You go right ahead. You
All
go right
right.
ahead.
Valen Bodie, for those that don't know me, a lot of people may know me because of the national team. I play on the national soccer team, both grass and beach. So that may be where you see my face before. But if you haven't seen my face there, you probably see me growing some plants or doing some vegetable gardening or building a raised bed. And if it ain't from that, then you just know as a little red boy from Sac. I mean, that's really ain't really much to it. Or as Mia son, or as Eddie nephew, or Floyd grandson, or Essie grandson. So if you ain't know me as one of them, then as Valen Bodie. But yeah, like Tamika said, she's family literally. And now, I mean, there's a lot that has happened. I mean, I guess you could say in the past 5 years, 6 years of my life. So as you don't know, I came to America at 18. Um, 2013, August, I came to America to play soccer in junior college. That's where it all started, and that was my first, not, I wasn't kicked out the door. I walked out the door. Make that clear. I wasn't a rebel child. But yeah, so I moved to America, started junior college playing soccer. Um, and that's where my journey started, both athletic, academic, spiritual, everything. Because I felt like it all happened in that 2 years in junior college. It is where I chose my major, where I chose my path that I wanted to take in life. All that stuff happened within 2013 to 2015. So fast forward, obviously, I played semi-pro during that time, played in Italy, played all over the world.
Wow.
Now soccer has taken me, worldwide, literally, whether it may be for the national team or for the semi-pro team that I played for in Brooklyn during those 2 years. Then, junior college was done and it was time for the next step. It was either I come back home and work, or I go on to a 4-year university to get my bachelor's degree. And obviously, I chose the latter option, but I was choosing that option not knowing how I was going to get to that option, to be honest.
Wow.
I knew I wanted to go and get my bachelor's. Didn't know what. At the time, I was studying liberal arts, dumbest decision of my life. But again, you'd make these decisions to learn. So I basically went throughout the summer just training, staying fit, playing with the national team, coaching kids back in Nassau. I spent the summer there coaching for Elite Soccer Bahamas. I founded a club there, the same club, Elite Soccer Bahamas. Me, Daria Adderley, Mia Campbell, my mom. Daria Adderley is my mom basically as well. And the many other board members that we do have. So 2015, like I said, that's what I did. Summer 2015, had no idea where I was going to go for school. I had one school that was interested. Well, two. One, I didn't think I was ever going to be able to afford, which is the one I graduated from, ORU. Because if you know anything about ORU, it's like 43 grand, 44 grand a year. So, like that wasn't an option, to be honest. I mean, my mom's a single mom. Don't know where the heck the money was going to come from to pay for it. And the scholarships they were offering me was for my academics, but it wasn't. I'd say $10,000 short. And I had all academic scholarships, everything. So I got recruited from them. Actually, funny story. I got recruited from them back in February, but their soccer team wasn't good. So I wasn't really interested in going there. I wanted to go to a school where the soccer team was going to be amazing, because I wanted to play soccer. I wanted to go pro. That was sort of more so my vision rather than where I am right now. So yeah, it went to that, and I still had no university. It was 2 weeks before preseason, because in college, everyone's preseason starts the same time. So I was like, okay, well, it's 2 weeks before preseason. I got nowhere to go. I don't know what to do. I need $10,000-$15,000 to go to ORU. Don't know how the hell this is going to happen. I'm probably going to have to get a job at Atlantis. At that point in time, that's where my mind was. I'll be completely honest. So I didn't give up. I was like, all right, I need to find a way. I think it was $19,000 or something, in 2 weeks, basically, to just go to school, not even to play soccer. Playing soccer at this point wasn't even, because I had no athletic scholarships. So at this point, it's just like, they're giving me, if you do the math, 19 from 43, whatever that is, that's what they were giving me in academic scholarships. So again, I had no idea what was going to happen. 2 weeks, school's about to start, no idea. So something told me to call the coach at ORU and ask if my position is still there, because something was telling me, hey, I'm going to end up going there. So I called the coach. Hey, coach, is the spot still there on the team for me? Could I be a walk-on, blah, blah, blah. He's like, absolutely. We have a spot for you if you want it, if you find the funds. It's just super tight now with athletic budget is cut. We just don't have the funds to give you any athletic money. I'm like, all right, cool. Again, I got 2 weeks before preseason starts to find the money. Still, no money. I had applied for Life for Key scholarship. They didn't release their list yet, so I had no idea if I got it or not. The government scholarship was released a week and a half after that. So in total, that would have covered all of my scholarship money that I needed. So I was like, all right, great. I go in there now. Coach telling me, I honestly don't know where we found the money for me to go. I just remember Eddie telling me, whatever it costs, you go in. And we literally bought the ticket the night before I left. Preseason was the next day, and I left that morning of preseason. I got there, and they already one session for the day. So I started training the next day. So I was there on day 2 of preseason. Granted, still an outstanding bill with the university of whatever funds it was missing. So my mom was like, well, you here? I mean, we here. I mean, that's it. Now we got to find the rest of this money within 2 weeks, because obviously when school starts, you have 2 weeks to get your bills paid or have some type of payment schedule set up, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, my mommy looking at me, she about to leave, and I telling her, don't worry, I know where the money coming from, but the money coming from. I come in. I don't know from where up. I say I apply for Lifeiki and I apply for the government. I say with the GPA that I have, I had a 3.6 at the time. I don't see why I would not get
Yeah.
both scholarships. So boom, it happened. I got the email from Lifeiki. They gave me a scholarship, and then I got an email. So I was like, all right, now I'm like $4,000, $5,000 down, and the government scholarship was I think 4,500. So I'm like, shoot, if I get that, that could cover my books and the rest of my tuition.
Yes.
So now a week goes by, and boom, we get my mom Mia called me, and mommy called me, and it's like, yeah, you got the government scholarship. They can send it in a check, write it to the university, and that was it. So they wrote the check. She mailed it to me next day, DHL. I got it, deposited to my student account, and I had money for my books as well. So boom, my whole semester paid for in the matter of 4 weeks. 4 weeks ago, I had no idea where I was going to college. I was accepted to ORU from shoots because I applied to colleges a year in advance. So I had 7 acceptance letters, but not all the money I needed. You know, I got accepted and recruited to the University of Central Arkansas, Florida International University, a lot of other big D1 schools, but obviously I didn't have the funds to go to those schools. And it was just something about ORU that captured me for some reason. I think it was when I don't know, obviously this is a marketing tactic, probably is, or it could have been intentional. But on my birthday, I got a letter in the mail from ORU, and I was like, well, I don't know what this could be because right. So I was like, I don't know what this for. Like, they didn't tell me this is the amount of money they given me. They don't accept me, all this stuff. I don't know everything I need to know. So I was like, I don't know what this letter could be. So I opened it, and it was like, happy birthday from Oral Roberts University, signed by, the president at the time, Billy Wilson. He's actually still the president. So it was again, it wasn't obviously probably not inked, signed, but it was a letter from him wishing me happy birthday from him and ORU and blah, blah, blah. And that just sit right with me, bottom line. So that was you can ask my mom, like literally the day I got accepted to ORU, I was like, I want to go to ORU. And we looking at each other like, how basically? Because I mean, it's $43,000. Like when I graduated, I looked at the bill and it was, I think $140,000 or something like that paid in tuition for my 3 years going there. And a dime didn't come out of me or my mother's pocket. So, I mean, obviously, if you ask me, it's purpose, but again, that's exactly how it happened, so I got there, things was good. I transferred in, I was thinking, all right, I'm going to go straight into playing Division I soccer. Life's going to be good. It was the total opposite. I'll be completely honest. So there we go. Boom. School starts. Now everyone's, choosing their majors. Freshmen are getting to choose their majors, all this stuff. So went to talk with the advisor, sat down with her, and she was like, first of all, is this what you want to do? And I was like, I honestly don't even know what I'm doing. I know I got a 3.6 right now, and I study in, she was like, your major is liberal arts. We don't, that ain't really something, like, is this what you want to do in life? And I was like, no, really and truly, I really want a bachelor's in environmental science. That's what I wanted to do before I started junior college, but I chose liberal arts to try and graduate in 2 years so that I can be eligible to play at the Division I level. Again, putting soccer before education. I didn't understand the student athlete thing as yet, which I quickly understood, and you'll find out as I continue to talk. But yeah, that's what it was. And she was like, listen, I need you to think about this because this is a decision that's going to choose your path in life, essentially, is what it is. If you pick your major now, don't be like the typical student athlete who just does sports medicine, not knocking people that do it now. Because there's some people that study sports medicine and then go on to do, physical therapy or kinesiology or these things from that. Not knocking it, but that isn't what I wanted to do. I knew it in my heart. That's not what I wanted to do. So I told her, I was like, listen, man, I want to do environmental science. That's what I wanted to do before junior college. That's what my passion is. I love the earth. I like being outside. That's me. So she's like, all right, well, here are your options. You got environmental science. You got like microbiology, all these different majors. And I just was like, bro, I don't want to do none of them because they have to do with me being cooped up in a lab probably 100% of the time. And that's just not me. Now, granted, I can coop myself up in a lab and get a lot done, i.e., the result of my company and the result of my senior paper and all these other things that I'll tell you about. But again, at that point in time, I knew I didn't want to be sitting in a lab. I don't want to be the typical scientist, I guess you could say. So I was like, you know what? She was like, well, look more into the biology department and see what's within the biology. It's because obviously you're going towards biology. So go to
Yeah.
the biology department, see what they offer, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up speaking to my degree advisor, Dr. Korstad. He's, I mean, well known in the biology industry as a whole. I mean, he's got multiple published articles and everything. So again, he was my advisor, and I sat down and talked to him and tell him, you know, what I feel and how I feel, what I want to do in life, and this, that, and the next. And he's like, man, but it sounds like you want to do business side of things and science side of things. So I have a degree that I want you to look over and tell me if this is what you want to do. Granted, I have to tell my advisor by tomorrow what my major is because she has to submit it to NCAA before the school year starts. And that's how they know if you're eligible to play for that season or not.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, you know what? He showed me this global environmental sustainability. I read the degree plan, went to my dorm, read over it, did some research on it, see what career paths I can take with it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. So I went ahead and I told her the next morning, and she looked at it and she was like, what? She was like, you realize that you're a first year, 4-year college, but realistically you should be second year. So your credits, you need to have like 60, 40 something or 50 something credits, I think it is. But with me doing liberal arts, there was only, I think, maybe 20 that transferred over. So I was 40 credits short, so I couldn't play. And she was like, listen, if you do this, you can't play. Like, you'll be able to train with the team, stay in shape, do everything with the team. But when it comes to game day roster, you won't be able to be placed on it because NCAA regulations, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, that's the degree I want to do. So if I got to be ineligible, I was like, what do I have to do to be eligible? She was like, well, if you crunch the numbers, you're not going to be eligible until your senior year if you do an overload of credits. So I was doing like 19 credits a semester and summer. And you have to pass every class. There's no room for failure nor D's. You have to get C's and above, which I only got 1 C in the end. That was in chemistry, which I'm not the best at. But I got all B's and A's, and she was like, listen, this is what you got to do. I was like, all right, well, that's what I got to do. She's like, all right, well, go tell your coach this is what you're choosing. So I went to my coach, and my coach tried to persuade me. He was like, is this what you want to do? Like, you're not going to be able to play. Like, you could train, you'll be 100% integrated into the team. But when it comes to game day, even if you're the best goalkeeper, we can't put you on the roster because of NCAA. I was like, all right, well, I mean, you know, it's for my future, you know, like, and that's another thing I could commend him for. He's more of a mentor than a coach. He was like, listen, if you're fine with doing this, I'm fine with that. I will keep you a part of the program until you're eligible as a senior. And if you want to do it, you can do it. Like, I'm not going to kick you off of the team because you're not eligible. So I was like, all right, well, this is what I want to do. So again, I busted my butt, did 19 credits. The least credits I did in the semester was 18 credits. I mean, I probably have been through it all. I mean, I did college
I
trade.
can imagine.
Yeah, I did college trade, chemistry, bio, and physics all in one semester. Like, that's how grabbing my career by the horns I had to be, basically. I finished a 4-year degree in 3 years. Was it easy? No. But if it was easy, like I tell everybody, everyone would do it, you know? We would have everybody graduating in 3 years, you know? Then it wouldn't be no reason for a 4-year degree plan. So I worked my butt off, did everything required of me, was eligible my senior year. You know, I made the travel roster, all this stuff. I had a guy playing ahead of me he's just phenomenal. He's playing second division in France right now. So he's exceptional. He's definitely someone I look up to, one of the best goalkeepers I've played with, or trained with, or had as a training partner. But so obviously went through my college career. Obviously, you know, I had a car accident, broke my foot in half. That was Christmas of 16. Yes, Christmas of 2016. So boom, that's where I had a turning point of events in my life, essentially.
I
I like to
remember.
refer to it more so of like God showing me what my purpose is rather than what I think my purpose was. If you had known Valen 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you probably still, a lot of people still think that soccer is everything to him, like literally, like he's going to go professional. That's what
Uh-huh.
everyone thought, and
Uh-huh.
that's what I thought. Granted, if I still go professional, it's not too late because goalkeepers, their prime age is like 30 or something like that. You don't reach your prime as a goalkeeper until like 31 or something like that. Um, but yeah, so again, I broke my foot Christmas break, 2 days before Christmas. The first thing I thought, I didn't even think that I wrecked my mom's car, honestly. That was the last thing on my mind. It was the fact that my foot was broken and I can't play soccer anymore. Yeah. Like
I
I didn't
remember.
know it was broken. I got out of the car, walked around the car, and then I guess when I took pressure off of it, the pain hit me and I was like, looked down and my foot's like kinked like a fist like that on the side. And I was like, oh, well, that's broken. And my best friend who was with me, he was like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? You just walked around the whole car. And he actually is a physical therapist. He's doing his master's right now in Amsterdam. Um, and he walked around the car and he was like, let me see it. So I took it out my slipper and lift my foot up. And it was like literally like this if you looked at it from the side. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's broken. Come on, sit in the car. So I sat in the car and he called my mom and talked to my mom and my uncle and everyone. And I was like, yeah, the car's
The whole
totaled.
time.
Right. The car's totaled, like he's freaking out because his foot's broken in half probably, but we're okay. But yeah, you could meet us to the hospital. Like he was super calm about it. But yeah, so that happened. And that's, like I said, that's where I think God shifted my focus from, hey, soccer isn't everything to this is
Yeah.
your purpose in life. Like I said, that was one of the loneliest moments of my life. Like, I mean, you could ask Eddie, like I called him 4 a.m. in the morning crying because I got practice in 2 hours and I can't go to practice or I can't partake in practice or 4 a.m. in the morning, crying in pain because I literally broke every single metatarsal of my foot. So, like that was, like I said, the darkest time. He took away what I thought was on a pedestal, was everything in my life, and tore it. He took everything away from me. That's what he did. A good quote that my coach actually said a week ago, because he actually spoke at a church. He said, God increases your capacity for burden and before he increases your capacity for blessings.
I want you
Um,
to understand that.
right. And that's exactly what he did. He increased my mental capacity of what I think I can take before he blessed me. So, and he's been doing that constantly, breaking me down, building me up, breaking me down, building me up. So that's where I was like, all right, it got to a point where it's like, all right, well, I was selected to play on the national team to go to Switzerland for 6 weeks for a training camp, but my foot is broken and they told me I got 7 months to give them a yes, I can play or no. So I looked at my train and the doctor told me straight up, he's like, listen, you're not going to be able to run for 12 months. And I was like, well, you say that, but that's not what's going to happen. So I called my trainer, I called my coach, let them know what happened. They were like, no worries. Like, we've got really good physical therapy. Just get back. When you get back, let us know. We'll pick you up from the airport, like literally everything, you know? So like I said, I got back to school. I had the king treatment going through the airport because my foot broke in half. I got all the doctor's notes. I got steel sticking out of my foot. I had the king treatment. So like I said, I got back and it was just one of my darkest moments, like I still got to go to class in pain and do classwork. And I really don't want to do classwork. I just want to play soccer. So like it was basically a whole conglomerate of events that was going on. So that's when I found like, okay, listen now, like soccer has been taken away. Now it's time for you to focus on school. Not that I wasn't focused on school. I still had a 3.0, but now I have to really buckle down now because now I have to think of, okay, do I have a GPA to make me a good candidate to be accepted into a master's program? These are things that my mentor started to shift and think about now. So that's when I was like, you know what? No, like you got to buckle up and schoolwork is where it's at. Like if I can't play now, correct. But if I bust my butt in my books until next summer, My senior year, I could be eligible to play and I'd be injury free, God's willing. So that's what I did. I buckled up and was like, screw it. I got on my scooter at 5 a.m., went to practice, watched the team practice, left practice, went to eat breakfast with the team, went to class at 8 a.m., went to weights, did whatever weights I could do without putting pressure on my foot, like completely just grinding it out. And I was playing soccer within 7 months. And professional soccer at that, because they had us playing with the professionals in Switzerland for the national team. So again, like mentally, I said I was going to do this, and I did it. With my trainer, she was like, "Listen, don't tell me you want to do this, and then you don't come to treatment every morning at 7 a.m. Or like if you want to do this, then let's do this. Otherwise, don't waste my time." So I obviously had to make that covenant or that commitment, I guess you can say, with my trainer as well. Because because again, there were days where I didn't want to do it, and that's where she picked me up and pushed me and so on and so forth. And granted too, I had the support of all the other athletic programs as well. Like, when it was time for me to kick the ball for the first time in 7 months, and I did it, like the girls soccer team was coming in from practice and they were like cheering me on and helping me. And like, it was just the whole athletic department, really and truly. But yeah, so from then it was good. All fine and dandy. I recovered. Got schoolwork done, whole another year passed. So now it's November. I'm a senior. I'm eligible. Let's do this. Good GPA, school's going good. Everything's going good. November came around, time to submit senior paper proposals, all this stuff, blah, 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 do all that. Everything was good. Submit my proposals, got 100. Well, not 100. I got an A. Got like a 90 something. But did whatever was required of me academically up to that point to make me eligible. So boom, everything's good. School's good, soccer's good. I'm playing, training, all this stuff is good. Year rolls around. February, I have a concussion. I'm like, all right, frick, what now? I get a concussion. I can't play soccer still. I can't even go to class now because I got a concussion. I got to sit in my room in darkness. Boom, get over that one. That was a minor concussion. I got that from saving a ball with my head. Don't know why I didn't let it go in. I just trying to play the hero, I guess. Then a month later, I got a second concussion. Now I'm put on the verge of the NCAA red flagging me, so I can't play at all because I had 3 concussions total. So the next concussion was a really bad one. It was, if you know anything about concussions, a concussion score is scored out of 50. If you got anything above, I think, 12, you're ruled a concussion. When they did my concussion test, they couldn't even do it because I was unconscious. But when I did become conscious, I got a 48 out of 50, put on all kinds of prescription drugs, blah, 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 blah. My mom and my grandmother had to fly over literally next day. They flew over. I stayed in a hotel with them for a while. And basically was just, again, back in this low point in my life, him, increasing my burden or increasing my struggle, basically increased the blessing. And again, I didn't see it. I hated it. So it's me going into my senior year now. This coming fall would be my senior year. This is March now. So I was like, all right, well, I got to recover and I got it, because spring season is where you make your name for the following season. So if I was a junior in March when this all happened, my senior year would be September. This is where you make your name, so to speak. Okay. So this was your opportunity to show the coaches this is when they let the players that didn't play last season play to see what they're made of, type of deal. That's how D1 works, essentially. So boom. I was stressing now because now I'm out 2, 3, 4 weeks now with a concussion, because now I'm missing games and can't prove to the coaches what I'm good for.
Right.
So now, okay, will I even play in the fall now? Because now they're looking for another keeper. So again, I'm still a part of the team, blah, blah, blah. All that goes on. I get over my concussion. Big reason, I'd be honest, was it was a big risk too I took on my behalf, because I personally didn't want to take, the Percocet, the big heavy drugs that they were giving me to get over these concussions. I was prescribed Adderall, all these things. And I was like, I'm not taking these prescription drugs. Like, I hate how they make me feel. I'm not taking them. So I was like, there's got to be a natural way to do this. So I went ahead, started doing research, who has concussions the most? Football players. Started doing research on football, like how do football players get over concussions. Granted, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be reading at all with a concussion. I was wearing Oakley sunglasses because I was so sensitive to the light. But I still was researching on my phone everything I could find out about concussions and recovering from them without medical intervention, I guess you can say. So that's when obviously I came upon, a lot of football players use cannabis as a means of reducing concussion scores and all these stuff. And there were studies behind it, like literally scientific studies behind it. So I was like, all right, well, at this point, I don't want to take this medicine they're giving me. And then cannabis. So I was like, listen, but if I do that, now the NCAA could drug test me and I could be banned for a year. But at this point, I don't got nothing to lose anyway. I'm about to be a senior. I really don't have nothing to lose. So I was like, screw it. I'll try it. So the medicine was given to me. It was supposed to take 14 days. And my concussion should be subsided by then. I'll return to training. Obviously, I didn't take those prescription meds. I did go the route of cannabis, and I I guess you can say medicated, self-prescribed medicine to myself, if you want to put it at that. And I was recovered from my concussion score being a 48. Within 10 days, I was down to a score of being able to go back to practice. And the doctor didn't understand it, obviously, because I didn't tell him I was smoking. He thought I was taking the meds. Go ahead.
Tell us exactly what is cannabis for persons who don't know exactly what is cannabis and what exactly does it do.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know. So a big part of cannabis is the cannabinoids. So THC, which is the psychoactive side of smoking weed, if you want to put it in layman's terms. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol, and you have a cannabinoid system in your body. So what you essentially do when you intake cannabis or CBD of any sort is you tap into those cannabinoid receptors that you have in your body. Yes, you do have a cannabinoid system. This is something that's in you. It's not a man-made thing. It's literally like how you have an immune system, a digestive system, these different body systems. This is an actual system that has receptors in your body. So if you do research on it in terms of, let's look at cancer, a number one big killer. So what cannabis, or again, CBD, or many of the different forms of cannabinoids does is when it binds to a cannabinoid receptor, it inhibits the production or the expansion, or if you want to say the hijacking of other cells in your body that produce cancer. So it doesn't completely eradicate cancer. It prohibits the progression of cancer, if you will. More so. I don't think there's science. And again, I could be very wrong. Technology and science have advanced tremendously. Daily science increases. Even worse now, it's now becoming more legal federally here in America, or working towards that. And, state-wise, there's 3 states that just legalized. New Jersey, Arizona, and can't remember the other one. But again, they're all legalized now. So now these science and pharmaceutical companies are going to research this quote unquote drug. So this is, again, that's just a gist of, I guess you can say, what cannabis really is. And yes, it is the flower weed that we know. But a lot of people don't know there's a difference. There's cannabis sativa, cannabis indica, and then there's ruderalis, which is the more hemp side of things. So it's a lot more that goes into it, and I could literally sit here and nerd out about it to you all day, and you would just look at me like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, so whatever, I got over the concussion, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, fall season came. I gave up the last 9 weeks of my summer before senior year to go to this environmental institute where I did a course on geographical information systems. And then I got certified by the Environmental Protection Agency here, the EPA, for watershed management. So, like for instance, if I wanted to come back to the Bahamas and manage the watershed of the Bahamas, I could do that because I have the qualifications to do that. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. Again, I just did that because I had to take that class for my degree. So it was all a part of just, a part of my degree, I guess you could say. That was the next interesting class I wanted to take. I didn't want to take botany. I didn't want to do, microbiology because, again, I'll be stuck in a lab. I did something that was more of a hybrid class where we go in the field, do tests, all these stuff. And it was
Or hands-on.
Right. It was completely integrated with my geographical information class because both senior papers, so you have to do, at the end of this course, you have to do a paper basically on what you learned. And they both tied into one another. I made a geographical map of a watershed in Michigan where I sampled 6 different sites along this one watershed and for 7 different variables like pH, microbiology content, all these different stuff. And it was a fully interactive map, like how you would go on your phone and tap McDonald's and they'll tell you what time they open, close, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You could have tapped each spot on the map that I made and it'll tell you the pH of the water at that point, at the time, the geographical information point,
That's so cool.
everything. So that's what I did my last year. Coming into senior year, boom, went throughout senior year. We had a really good season. We beat some top 25 teams. Did my senior paper, which was a soil analysis. Again, this is all, I had no idea this is where I was going to be career-wise. So I did my senior paper was an area on campus that they couldn't get grass to grow. I did a cross-section of this area, sampled multiple sites of this area, found out the nutrient content and told them based on nutrients or nutrient availability and soil composition and soil texture and all this stuff, why I think grass isn't growing. Granted, the gentleman who was the boss at the time, he was actually a world-renowned, worldwide known PGA Tours groundkeeper. So like one of the groundskeepers for the PGA Tour is the biggest, obviously, golf. So he was not someone who did not know what to do. But he just kept pumping that area with fertilizer and seed and water, and they just couldn't get grass to grow. So I did my senior paper, figured out why I gave my hypotheses on why I think grass isn't growing. He read it and he was like, no way, you're 21 years old and you came up with this paper. This is what you think. Wow, I've never seen this, all the good stuff. I'm just trying to fast forward so I don't waste a lot of time. But yeah, so he was like, there's no way you're 21. You thought of this. This is your paper. You wrote this, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, I mean, this is what I did. He was like, wow. He's like, if this is what you want to do in life, you better run with it because this is your purpose. This is your calling. He didn't say my purpose. He's like, this must be your calling because this was a very good paper. So, I was like, yeah, okay, well, he could just be being nice, So obviously at ORU with your degree, you have to present your senior paper to the entire biology department, including all the biology students, every professor included in biology. Granted, I'm speaking in the front of professors that have hands in cancer research. Like that's how that's the caliber, I guess you can say, of biologists that are professors at ORU. So I'm sitting there, everyone's presenting their paper, this one's talking about genetic this and this, that, and genetic modification and how they modify genetics of this organism and this microbacteria. And I'm just like, no, no, like that ain't me. Like I had to go to them because it's required of you. It's during your class time. But again, didn't want to do it. So it was my turn to present and I'm like, shit, well, everyone else's paper, high tech, mine just on some soil, well, in their eyes on some dirt on an area on campus. Yeah, like this ain't even making no sense to them. And that was my thinking, obviously. So I presented it. Everybody was like, wow, like clapping, freaking out. And I just was like, what? It really ain't that solid. Like you just had someone up here talking about the cure for cancer, basically transcribing DNA and all this crap to cure cancer. Like this was, you reacted this to that. So
and here comes with this soil business.
Right. So, and again, that was just me thinking less of what I've done, I guess you can say. So, like even the guy, like there was a biology professor, he was my microbiology professor. And one of the smartest guys I've probably ever spoken to. He's the one has hands in the cancer research and stuff. And he was like, man, that was really interesting. I've never even thought about, the ground on that level, like literally just completely mind blown. And I'm just like, okay, like that was pretty simple, but that wasn't nothing. That wasn't rocket science compared to what you study in, again, not knowing or seeing the worth yet, still not seeing the worth of what what my calling is, I guess you can say. So whatever, I got an A on the paper. graduated, all fine and dandy. Before I graduated, I got a job at Apple, which I absolutely loved. And my goal at the point in time was to be a part of the environmental team at the Apple headquarters. That was my goal as a person. My wife can tell you that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go work with the environmental team at Apple. I told her we're going to move to California. Like literally, these were the dreams that I had.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, honey, well, that's where you want to go. That's what you want to do, and let's go. So I just was like, you know what, that's what it is. So boom, my work visa expired. I was without a job, waiting on my green card to come through. Still nothing. Came home to train for the national team. August of the year I graduated. Ended up getting stuck in the Bahamas because there was drama about my green card and traveling and all kinds of crazy stuff. I.e., if you apply for a green card, don't leave America. Don't be me. Bottom line. I might help someone. We don't know who married from who ain't. But yeah. So yeah, I got stuck in the Bahamas, so to speak. I couldn't travel to the US for probably almost a year and a half, just about, 13 months. 13 months, sorry. So I ended up, during that time, I worked at Green Systems at the Airport Industrial Park, helped with their compost production, mulch production, just about any general task on the yard. Worked there for like 2 months and was quickly realized, listen, I don't want to do this. I feel like I'm worth more than this. I've got a college degree. I want more for myself, essentially, is what it was. So I called my manager one day and said, hey, I'm not coming to work. And that was it. I quit, essentially, is what it was. Because I just felt I'd rather sit home and not make money than to go and slave and work, essentially, for that wage. And that was just me seeing my worth, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So during that 2 weeks of being unemployed, before I became self-employed, I was trying to figure out my next move. Am I going to work? Like I even had an interview at Atlantis. I had an interview at many other jobs that told me, listen, you're overqualified. We can't pay you. I mean, that was the gist of what it was. So again, I was telling my wife, I want to open my own company, blah, 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 saying that, just knocking just someone to bounce ideas off of, who's better than my wife. I was just saying this all the time till it got to a point where she was just tired of it. She was like, if you're going to open a company, then open it. Like,
Just
quit
do it.
talking about it. Just do it. So I talked to my mom. Obviously, she's familiar with the legal stuff side of things and got it done. Opened my own company, the Environmental Sustainable Solutions. We ran Sapadilla's farm for a while. We did a backyard gardening project with Atlantic Medical. They've got a whole raised bed that we built for them. But yeah, so this is just, my company that we've got contracts, landscaping contracts for, condos and apartment buildings and stuff like that, residential as well. And that's what my granddad does. Him and my mom runs that in the Bahamas. So time came where my green card got approved after being put through the ringer, basically. Green card got approved. Boom. I'm moving back to America. And before I got the job, before I got back, I had a job with Grog's Green Barn being a soil production manager. They approached me because I worked there during my internship. They approached me and was like, hey, we want to start producing soil. We think you'd be a great person for the job. Great. Took it. That's the only job I had at the time. Coming back to America, I couldn't ask for a better thing, walking straight into a job. I don't have to go on the job hunt. So boom, November, started working with them October, created some soil recipes for them, 2 soil recipes for them. We released them, started selling in November of last year. Everything was great. Good. Selling soil, making good money from it. April rolls around, pandemic, whatever happened. I was researching on my own, just doing what the scientist does, because my brain doesn't stop. I think about soil all day, every day. I always think of how I can make it better, blah, 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 which in how you should be with your craft. So that's what I did. I was at home just mixing ingredients together, what I think would work, and testing them out, growing cannabis in it to see what's the difference. And, against the leading brands on the market versus this recipe that I've created at home. And, and granted, there was nowhere in my contract said that I can't do research for independent gain. Nowhere. So this is why I thought it was
That's
okay.
important to know.
Right. Yeah. You got to know what you're signing. Contract wise, you got to know what you're signing. Luckily, my aunt's a lawyer. So shout out Annie. she's a lawyer, so she read over the contract and was like, no, there's nowhere in here that says you can't research. So yeah, so Friday I posted a picture of it growing side by side with some of the bigger brands and the one that I currently made for them. It was a substantial difference in growth. And they saw the post on Instagram Saturday, asked me about it on Saturday, and was like, what's this new recipe? And I told them, hey, it's just dinking around at home, doing what a scientist does, just testing a bunch of other stuff at home. And I guess they saw it in a different light. They took it in as more of a threat, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. So they were like, all right, well, we got to have a meeting on Monday to talk about this new recipe, quote unquote. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, I had no malicious intent with it. It was never my intention to open my own company. It was never my intent to not. I had my intentions at the time was to make Grog's Green Barn the best soil production company in Oklahoma. That was on my agenda. Not once I thought about opening my own company. So boom, I get into work, got to work early, clocked in at 9:40, went over to the warehouse where I make the soil, and boom, they're sitting there waiting for me. I walk in, the door's open. You know, I realized all my stuff was packed up on the table in the front. I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So I walk into the meeting, and you know, it basically came to a point of I was sitting in the front of people I didn't even. These were not the same people that hired me. That's how different of a people. I guess they saw it as a threat, and they got angry about it. I'm talking, slamming on the desk, cussing at me, like complete disrespect. And me, if you know me, I'm not the one to take disrespect. I don't take disrespect very well. I'm one that truly believes that you got to give it to get it. So I usually don't do well in those situations. You know, my wife told me, she's like, listen, you're going into this meeting, whatever happens, just keep your head. Because she knows me. She knows I could pop off and I could tell you what you ask quick. And don't even care about it. So it got to a point in the meeting where they're like, listen, you have two options. One, we fire you, or two, you stop doing research for independent gain and do it for the company alone. I was like, well, first of all, everything I know isn't because of you. I have a degree in this stuff. You don't have a degree in this stuff. Second of all, I made the recipes so I can make more recipes, i.e. the reason why we're having this meeting. And third of all, my brain doesn't work on a switch. Like, you can't tell me, okay, Valen, it's time to make a new recipe. Let's make some more recipes. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, you can't tell Einstein that he can't do science experiments in his basement.
I know, right?
It's not going to happen. You can't tell a grower who grows for a multi-billion-dollar cannabis company that they can't grow cannabis at home. It's not going to happen. If anything, you want them to get better at it, because it's in turn going to help your company.
Exactly.
Right. So whatever, I got fired. You know, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'll be honest. It knocked me down for about 24 hours. 24 hours, and I mean 24 hours. Like, I came home, my wife could have seen it. I was distraught. I was hurt, broken, felt betrayed, everything. Because in my eyes, I came into this as a partnership. You know, like, I was going to make this company soar because of how good the soil is going to be. So it got to that. They fired me on Monday. So I was butthurt. Tuesday, my wife was like, all right, what's next now?
Yeah,
like,
what you gonna do now?
Yeah, like, you butthurt, you don't have a job. Bills are still bills. I doing my part to pay my bills, and well, not my bills, my half of the bills. You got to make sure keep up your end of the bargain, essentially. So I was like, all right, well, I got two recipes. I can open a company. Most bogus idea anyone you can ask at the time could come up with. It's a pandemic. What you doing opening a company during a pandemic? That don't make sense. Furthermore, opening a soil company, what is making soil? That, if I tell people that now, they don't even understand. But yeah, so that was my vision, and I ran with it. So I knew exactly what was required of me to make this soil, like the ingredients needed. So I went to the biggest grow supply store they have the biggest grow supply store in the world here in Tulsa, 30,000 square feet. But they're the biggest grow supply store franchise in America. They're publicly traded, 27 stores all over America, multi-million-dollar company. So I went in there looking for prices of ingredients. That's what I went for. It was Tuesday. I put on my collar shirt, my polo, I put on my jeans, put on my shoes, and I go on there to go try and find out the cost of my ingredients. Because now I'm trying to build my business plan now. I got to go find the investor to open this company, or if I don't have the money to do it myself. So boom, that's what I did. I went to them, sat down with the manager. Well, I didn't even sit down with the manager. I was standing up at first thinking I was talking to a regular employee.
Wow.
Just talking, asking for these ingredients. And she's putting this quote together and she's like, okay, like 50 pounds of this, 100 pounds of this. And she's looking at me like, what the hell he need all these ingredients for? Like, this don't even make sense. So it got to a point where I was like, all right, that's it. And she looked at me and she's like, what are you doing with all this? She's like, you growing cannabis? I was like, no. I said, I want to open a soil company. She was like, what do you mean open a soil company? I was like, yeah, I want to produce soil. I used to work for Grog's Green Barn, and I told her the whole situation. I just got fired yesterday, blah, blah, blah. She didn't say anything about hiring me. She just was like, what are you doing now then? I was like, what I'm doing right now, trying to figure out what I need to open my own company. Right. She's like, all right, well, and then I was like, it was along the lines of me saying, I think I just need, and then I'm looking for a 9 to 5 just to pay bills in the meantime, is what I told her. And she was like, what do you mean? What are you looking for hourly? I was like, 13 or 14 bucks. I'm cool with that. So she was like, well, we ain't really hiring, but to have a soil specialist on staff, that would help tremendously. Because there's nobody on staff that really knows a lot about soil. We know a lot about, there's people that know a lot about growing, but not solely about soil.
Right.
So she was like, well, let me talk with corporate and get back to you in about a day or two and tell you what I can offer you pay wise. I got an email the following day, Wednesday, with a contract, $13, I think it was an hour. I was like, all right, well, shit, let's do it. I need a job. I need income right now. Let's do it.
Thanks.
So I signed that contract on Thursday. So from Monday, I wasn't even unemployed for a week. Started work. Yeah, I know, right? Did all my training on Friday, signed the contract Thursday, did my online training Friday, went in for shadowing on Friday, and then did online training on Thursday, started work Monday morning, went to work Monday morning, bright and early, boom, back on the horse again. So I still worked behind the scenes, trying to figure out prices on things I need to get, a mixer, this, that, and the next, blah, blah, blah. So, I crunched the business plan and sat down with my wife and was like, all right, well, by the looks of this business plan, I need $200,000 to start a soil company. That's what, it hurt to see that on paper, to actually see what I need, to fulfill a dream. And I was discouraged. I'll be honest. I was completely discouraged. I don't know where I'm going to get $200,000 from, bottom line. So I was like, well, it is what it is. I look for investors. If I don't get one, fine. I'll just keep working at Grow Generation till I make money, blah, blah, blah. So eventually my wife and I both put in whatever we needed, to get these recipes tested by the lab, to get results. I crunched the recipe and tinkered with it until I got it to where I wanted it. Got the test from the lab, took the lab test, sent it to the state agriculture department, got approved, paid for my approval, paid for did everything myself. The only thing I didn't do was my business license and my LLC formation, which LegalZoom did everything for me. I just paid them whatever. And I didn't have to pay them up front. I paid monthly. It's like $50 a month for 3 months, and it covered everything.
Wow.
And then basically I started in my garage. Like, we couldn't park our cars in my garage, literally. Like, I have pictures of it. Like, I mixed my first batch with my hand. Like, that's how I figured out my recipe, grew in it, sent it to the lab, was pleased, and then started stocking up on ingredients. I took $100 from this paycheck, bought this much.
Yeah.
Like that, piece, bought my water tanks, bought my water purification system, got all the certifications I needed, business license, all that stuff. Boom. Then I needed a mixer now. I was going to start mixing by hand, but obviously that would have taken forever.
Yeah.
Ended up talking to one of my suppliers for my earthworm castings. He was like, bro, I got a mixer here. Like, if you got to drive to Missouri, it's 4 hours away. Throw everything in a U-Haul, just come here and mix your soil and then take it back to Tulsa and sell it. Like, if that's what you got to do a couple of times to get on your feet to buy a mixer, that's what you got to do. But if that's an option I'm giving you. I have this mixer that you can use. I was like, all right, well, that's what it is. So I saved up some more, bought material I needed. So now the time came. I told my boss and all, I was like, listen, I ain't coming to work next Friday because I go into Missouri to go mix my first batch of soil to try to get my soil company off the ground. And she was like, fine. Like, I hope corporate doesn't see this, but I'm going to call in sick. And that's what it is. I called in sick to fulfill my dream. Basically, is what it was. So yeah, I called in sick, didn't go to work that Friday, left that morning, went to Missouri, drop all my material off. Then I had to drive 4 more hours into Missouri to pick up more material, drive back 4 hours, same day. So I got back like 2 a.m. Saturday morning, loaded everything into the warehouse, drove to the hotel, slept, woke up 7 a.m. When I woke up 7 a.m., I went to the warehouse, started mixed my first batch. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. Ran into issues. So I solved the issue on the fly. Boom, got the first batch of soil mixed. Before I can leave Missouri, I had 10 of 12 yards of soil sold. How? I don't know. I had just had people calling me and asking me for it. Obviously, we know how. But yeah, so I mixed it all, loaded it up, and my buddy, he watched me grind it out basically for 3 days. So Saturday evening he came by and was like, "Yo, if you want, I could take you to dinner. We can go to dinner." I was like, "Well, I would love to, but right now I can't. Like, I gotta those 3 hours we could be to dinner. I could be sitting here mixing soil." So I had to sacrifice, I guess you could say. So I guess he saw that. And so he called me and he's like, "Man, so what are you going to do after this? You're just going to keep driving back and forth?" I was like, "Yeah, if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. If I got to rent a U-Haul to be going back and forth," because at the time I didn't even have a truck. Like, if you know now, I've got a big, nice big truck.
Yes.
But yeah, so I didn't have that at the time. So every time I needed to get material, whatever, I had to rent a truck from U-Haul, drive to pick it up, blah, 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 back and forth. Now, obviously, I need a facility to put this soil and all this stuff. So a buddy of mine who owns a grow operation had a big 6,000 square foot warehouse at the back of their grow that was just vacant. And he was like, "Yo, if you need to use it, you can use it until we're ready to build out our grow bigger, because it's just going to be vacant right now anyway until we've made enough capital to expand." So I was like, "All right, bro, well, we'll work out a rent. Let's figure it out." So yeah, moved into there, started in like maybe I would think 1,000 square feet of the warehouse, because he was charging me per square foot. Opened, that was May 10th, made my first sale May 1st. And by July, I was using 6,000 square feet of the warehouse. I had to expand. So yeah, so now, I mean, this is where I am. The company's doing great. Slow season was sort of kind of a bastard this year, but again, slow season isn't something you can always predict, but you can predict it to an extent, I guess you can say. Predictions are predictions, exactly what they say. It's not going to happen. It's not set in stone. But yeah, so that's where I am now. Thugging it out through slow season, hoping now that this spring comes around and busy season just knocks me into the green. Like now, like I said, we've got 6,000 square foot facility. I got my own forklift. I own my own big truck, trailer. Like, I bought the trailer taking a risk. Like, I was whatever, $5,000 or $4,000 for the trailer. And I was like, listen, the company needs this, so I'm going to have to buy it. Spent it. And literally within 2 months, the trailer paid for itself in delivery alone. So, I've got a trailer that's paid off. I don't owe the bank for it. I'm on the right track to have my forklift paid off. All these things are just falling into place. And it's because I took that first step, So yeah, so that's where I am now. Took me an hour to tell you guys that, geesh, but that's where it's at now.
Listen, you said so many key points that are so important and so vital in the life of both a student and entrepreneur. And you can carry it you carried it from being a student straight on to being an entrepreneur. And like you said earlier, your tests and your trials, it just, in other words, made you stronger. It shifted your focus.
Correct.
And so it just put you on a different path. And because of that now, you value and you look at things so differently now.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely. Even like look at it. Like, I just moved to America a year ago. Like, if you want to put it in layman's terms, I'm living the American dream. Like, I moved to America a year ago as a permanent resident now for September 27th made a year. And I went from working for someone to opening my own company to being a father to now creating generational wealth, for my family. So, like that's, like the past year, I mean, it's just been nothing short of great. It couldn't have happened without, blessings, I guess you can say, is probably the only way to say it. But yeah, so I mean, the past year has been crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. I mean, just like I tell people all the time, like as the year went by, I had to mentally tap into different wavelengths or higher wavelengths, I guess you can say. I went from an employee to a CEO within a year. I went from being 50-50 with my wife on bills to her being a stay-at-home mom and me paying all the bills and working
That's
to
what I'm
make sure the
talking
bills
about.
are paid. That she stays home and takes care of the kid. Like that's where it's at right now. And the blessings are only going to keep coming because he definitely been increasing the stress. I can tell you that for sure. He I I think I ever been tested like this in this slow season ever in my life. Like faith wise, I don't think I ever been tested this much. And I'm talking like you wouldn't believe if I start to tell you some of the stories.
I believe you. I believe you. And that's when you know that your purpose is greater than what you actually see
Yep.
and what's actually around you. Because when you have such a mandate, when you have such a passion and a drive to do some things, and you realize that you have obstacles that are coming and licking you down left, right, and center. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's your passion, it's your drive, it's your motivation
Right.
that keeps you going to say, you know what? It ain't work this way. Let me try it this way. And
Right.
you touched on something and it's so important. Support.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Oh yeah, your
provide.
support system is everything.
Don't.
Everything.
I'm
Everything. Your
telling
support
you.
system is everything. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my auntie, my uncle, my mummy, my daddy, my cousin, whether it's second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth cousin, or just a family
Exactly.
friend who I call cousin. All that was a part of my support system. And another big part of it too is like a lot of people, and it's very cliche. As a Bahamian, I can use Sabas as a prime example. If a lot of people don't know, he wasn't the nicest kid in high school. He was a troublemaker. He was one that was getting kicked out of SAC. And I mean, he told people that he was going to be a millionaire from he was in SAC.
Okay.
He told people that, like literally, and I mean that's the type of mentality you got to have. Like I was listening to him talk when I went to that event he had, and basically it was what sparked me was he tries to not go a day without learning something about something pertaining to any. It might be he learned something about a business he's invested in, or even about selling numbers, if you want to use that as an example. Like these are things that he had to invest in mentally to make sure that on the tail end financially it came out beneficial because he studied and found the right things to do. And it's the same thing with me. Like I try to not go 24 hours without learning one thing, whether it may be something about soil, whether it may be something about taxes, whether it may be something about my truck, whether it be something about, the cannabis plants that I grow every day. Like there's something I try to learn whether it be something about my daughter, me learning something about having a child that I didn't know. I just try to learn something every single day because if you don't learn something every single day, you're the same as you were yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, Michael
Not
Jordan says it.
growing.
Yeah, if you're not getting better, if you're not a better version of you every day, whether it may be you were able to control yourself a little bit more mentally today than you were yesterday, that's better. Whether it's
Exactly.
me cussing someone out yesterday for pulling out of a corner before me versus today, I don't even scrunch up my face because they do it to me today. Like that's growth, that's moving forward. So, and again, I mean, as a country, we have our motto is forward, upward, onward together. And ask how many Bahamians actually go forward. Ask how many Bahamians go upward, onward, and definitely we ain't doing it together. So, like that as simple as knowing. I mean, shoots, we got some Bahamians don't even know that's our motto, you know. But again, like that's just things. Again, you got to learn these things and to try and apply these things to your life. Again, and I ain't perfect, like I can't tell you some of the days where I just sit down and ask the Father what you dealing with.
Thanks.
I ain't ask for the stress. I ain't ask this. I ain't sign up for this.
Mm-hmm.
I sign up to worry about how this bill can be paid. But you better sure the day of or the day before that bill was paid.
Thank.
So it's just I don't know, it's definitely a learning curve going. And I mean, again, I'm young too, like 25 years old and CEO of a company that's tapped into a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know, so it's and I from a island that's 7 by 21. I mean, people ask me all the time. Like I talk to growers, and I talk to anyone and tell them what I do and how I do it and where I'm from, and they're like, forget what you know and how the company you have. Why are you in Oklahoma and you from the Bahamas? That don't even make sense. And I simply tell them, listen, gas in Nassau is $6 a gallon, and gas here is $1.70. That's why I hear. Like, and again, like they don't realize that. Like, it's funny because like a lot of Americans don't realize how easy it is to live in America. Like, it's literally the land of opportunity. Like, if I didn't make it selling soil, I could have made it doing something. I could have made it cutting grass in my neighborhood. Literally. So again, it's you just gotta take that step. Like one of my favorite rappers say, Chance the Rapper. The first step is please the Father. Every other step after that is just you walking and fulfilling His work. So if you don't take that first step, then you'll never know.
Exactly.
If I didn't take that first step to say, if I had to take defeat and say, boy, I don't have $200,000 to open a soil company, I can just let that dead. That business plan can just sit in a folder on my laptop, and I'll never see that again until I find $200,000. Or I could do what I did and say, listen, let's start in my garage. Some of the biggest companies in the world started in the garage. Amazon,
Exactly.
Apple, all these companies started in the garage.
Exactly.
And who knows? It might be a coincidence that mine started in the garage, and it might be a multi-million-dollar company in 2-3 years. I don't know that, but if that's in the plan and that's what the plan is, then that's what's going to happen.
Most definitely. And
Mm-hmm.
and as we kind of wrap up, one of the things that I have learned, even at being in business for a short time, is that, when it's something that you want, go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's either yes or no. It's either now or later. But
It
if
ain't
you
no gray
sit
area.
down,
It ain't no gray area. And like I
none.
said, and it was, and a big part of it, and again, this can be very cliche, like the strongest part of a successful man is his wife. And I mean, I'll be completely honest, and I don't know if my wife watching, she probably in there with the baby. But I guarantee you all, I ain't saying this to grease, make myself sound good or I ain't in trouble. No, like that's literally factual. Like if it wasn't for her, I would have never even opened the company in Nassau. Like, and straight down to me working for Apple. Like I never thought that I would have been qualified enough to work at Apple. Like I worked for Apple Incorporated.
Okay. How
Like
many persons can say that?
yeah, exactly. Like, and I never thought that I was capable of doing that. Like my wife literally had to tell me, listen, go apply. Like just apply. You don't know what could happen. And I literally applied at 3 a.m. I woke up in the middle of the night, rolled over, applied for Apple on my phone and went back to bed and forgot about it. I applied for Apple in September and didn't get hired till February. Yeah, I completely forgot about that I even applied. And I got an email and said, we have an interview for you. We want to put you on to the next process and being approved. So, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have never taken these steps that I've taken. I guess you could say leaps of faith is really what it is. What would Apple be doing hiring someone that's about to graduate in May, 3 years before they even graduate with it? They don't even know if I can graduate. But they hired me as a senior in college, and I mean, I was on track. Like the managers at Apple tell me all the time, I was on track to probably go to the headquarters. Like that's just how well I was doing. Like, training to work at Apple is usually 4 weeks. I was on the floor working in 2 weeks.
Hello.
And it's because, I put my mind to it. The guy that got hired with me still was doing training for an extra 2 weeks. I was on the floor taking customers and he was still shadowing people. And it was because mentally that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I set out to do.
It's all in the mindset.
Oh yeah, it's all mindset. I mean, that small island mindset, that's a real thing. Like I was a victim of it. I was 100% a victim of it. And I was that very subliminally. I'll be completely honest. I had no idea that's the type of mindset I was in. Like I had to be exposed. My wife had to show me these things. Like, listen, like this is America. You could go get yourself, you could finance yourself a nice car. You could have a nice car. You could have these things. You could have a house. Like, I mean, me and my wife own a house. You know, we've got a company, all this stuff. But I never, if you asked me a year ago, this is where I was going to be. No. A year ago, I would still be making $18.75 working for Grog's Green Barn as a soil production manager. That's where I was. But, you know, I had a cousin that's in the cannabis industry as well. Elliot Hebburn in California. He's a dispensary and processor owner. And he had to tell me myself, he's like, cuz you're worth more than that. He's like, you ain't worth $18.75 an hour. You have a degree. The average soil scientist gets paid $75,000 a year. Right now, you ain't even getting paid $40,000 a year, and you fine with that. He had to break me out of that small. I was fine with making $18.75 an hour. I was, until he opened my mind and made me realize, listen, like, you bigger than that. You deserve more than that. You deserve to own. And you know, again, that's the small mind, small island mentality. And you could hate me for it all you want. If you don't disagree, if you disagree with me, you could disagree all you want. I ain't here to, you know, like, I can tell you what it is. I was once that person who believed that, you know, that's a bit far-fetched to be owning a house and a company and all that at the age of 25.
Listen, and you know, and for persons that are going to watch this later on and even watching now, for me, I love when I can hear and help to share stories like your own, because you know you defied all odds.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the odds, I should have never
mashed it.
Yeah. I mean, and let's not even get to the point of graduating college. I mean, I'm a young kid. I grew up in Johnson Road in Nassau. Who would have ever think that, you know, a little kid barefoot running around in basketball pants and a t-shirt in Johnson Road would have been working for Apple? Who would have ever thought that he would have been graduating from ORU, one of the most prestigious universities in America? Like, my degree is like a golden ticket. I could work anywhere just because I graduated from ORU. That name alone gives you credibility in any industry you go in. Like, I got people who graduated with me working for JP Morgan.
Hello.
You know, so, you know, like, that degree means an awful lot. Granted, it's just a piece of paper. I don't even know where it is. That's so funny. I literally don't know where my degree is. I can't tell you where my degree is right now. I have no idea where it is. No, I could tell you where my high school diploma is. My SOC diploma right here. But I have no idea what my degree is. I honestly don't know. As a matter of fact, I need to go look for that. Darn a good thing.
But you know, that's the beauty of when your passion, your purpose far succeeds, you know, what you think you can do.
Absolutely.
You know, because when you sit down and you put pen to paper and say, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to do it, this is what I'm expected to do it, and how long it's going to take me to do it. So now that you have a visual of what you're doing and you're working towards that, it's you know, you have something to go back on and check off. Okay, this is what I'm doing.
It's different. It's different. I mean, we as humans, if you even want to look at humans as a whole, we want to see things tangible. That's why so many people have issues with faith. What I believe in this God for if I don't even know he real? That's the number one question atheists have. I don't know this person real. I know my mother. I know my father. I know they bring me into this world. But how could you tell me that this being somewhere in the sky or wherever he is the reason I didn't crash my car, or is the reason I didn't die in the car accident? Like the car accident I was in, the tree that I hit off the highway, someone hit that tree 2 weeks before me and died in a car way bigger than my mom's car. And someone hit the tree before them and died. I hit the tree, didn't die. And someone hit the tree 2 weeks after me hitting the tree and died. So you telling me that's a coincidence or what that is? You know, so like, you know, that alone is a testimony within itself, you know. So
I'm telling you.
And again, people have these questions. And again, I as a realist, like, I as a scientist, so I look at things from a real side of things. And obviously my wife is a nurse, so she sees life and death every single day. You know, like, she's care for people and they just die. with no explanation. The doctor don't have no reason as to why or how this person died. They was on a life support machine. How they die? Like just some things we can't answer. And that's, as a scientist, that's where you got to know where to draw the line. Like, listen, maybe I ain't supposed to understand this.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of scientists struggle, like Einstein. That's why they thought he was crazy, because he always wanted to know how something happened, how it worked, how. And again, that's a part of my face. Like, all right, everything cool, God. I'm supposed to know that one next. Everything cool. Now, who knows? He may reveal it to me a year, 2 years from now, and say, "That's why this was happening." Well, that's it. 2 years ago, you couldn't tell me this. Like
I've been
things
having
like
that
that.
experience.
It has happened. It has happened all the time. I see it happen all the time with soil. Like, I could be crunching recipes till 4 a.m. in the morning, and I go to sleep and wake up and go to my warehouse the next day and stumble upon an article that talks about it, or this, that, and the next. Like, it's just, like some things you just got to know when to put it to rest, I guess you could say.
Exactly. I totally agree. Oh my gosh. I have so enjoyed this conversation, Valen. Listen,
Yeah.
I can't tell you with nobody else, but for me, you have motivated and encouraged me, and I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you.
That's
Your
why I'm here.
determination, your focus. I am so proud of you.
That's why I'm here. And I tell people all the time, like, if from this talk I inspire one person, that's all that I care about. That one person. I don't know if you or anyone ever heard of the sand dollar story, where there's this kid walking the beach, and the beach was filled with sand dollars because the tide went out. So the sand dollars were sitting on the beach drying out. So he was walking the beach, picking up the sand dollars, throwing them back into the ocean. And this older man came to him and said, "Son, what are you doing?" He's like, I saving sand dollars. I saving their life." And he was like, "Just forget about it. There's no way. Look at all these sand dollars. There's no way you're gonna throw all these back into the ocean." And he was like, looked at the old man and was like, picked up another sand dollar and threw it in the ocean. He's like, "See, I saved that one though." And like in the end, like, and I look at it from a perspective of inspiring someone to open their company or whatever they want to do, even on the fronts of faith, like, like, because I believed, who knows who heard my story today or who heard what I said, where it may have made them think of a situation in life where they were favored, I guess you like to say. I don't really like to say favored, because favored in a societal meaning is favorites, use my favorite child, use my this, that. It don't really have a positive. It's like ignorant, ignorant in society is a very negative connotation. Really and truly, ignorant just means lack of knowledge. You just don't know. But society has given it such a bad, connotation, I guess is probably the right grammar word. I graduated long time. English ain't my thing. Science is my thing. But yeah, so, like, if it's one person I inspire from this today, whether, like I said, you ain't got to be interested in growing nothing. You ain't got to be interested in soil, nothing. I don't care what your interest is. I mean, if I inspired you to do something today, that's all I cared about, But yeah, so that's what I'm here for, and that's what I feel like, is my. And if you're listening to this, I mean, a big part that I try to live by is try to pick a core value to live by, like a motto, I guess you can say. Some companies have mottos, like Nike is just do it, like. And my core value or my core belief, I guess you could say, is what I live by is I want to leave the earth better than I found it. Whether it may be me throwing that one sand dollar back into the ocean, or me having one person find their faith again or walk back with Jesus because of my story. Or it could not even be about Jesus or Christ or religion or whatever you want to call it. It could be simply about business. Somebody was thinking about opening a business for 3 months now, and they might have heard me talking about my business and say, "You know what, let me just go do it. Let me go try it." Because there's only two things that can happen. It succeed or it fail. Literally, you have a 50-50 chance. Either it can succeed or it can fail. Now, what you do for it to succeed or fail is different.
Yeah.
So, it's very intimidating, but if you want to do it and you put your mind to it, you can do it. Like anything, literally.
Exactly.
Being a dad, I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm ready to be a dad, but that's something you can't prepare for, like It's like marriage. You can't prepare for marriage. You could get married to someone and move in with them, and you could hate their guts. So again, it's something you can't prepare for. It's growth. You can't prepare for growth. If you could prepare for growth, then it's not growth, because you already knew what was going to happen.
Exactly.
So, and yeah, like I said, I could sit here and ramble all day, and I think I should be a motivational speaker, honestly.
You already are.
But that's a different venture in life, I guess you could say. My life coach told me I need to write a book, but who knows? I may take this same thing and give this to someone and tell them write a story on my book, on my life. Who knows? Because this was basically my life in an hour and hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. And listen, like, and when Rick is saying great story, I appreciate the grind. I listened for an hour, bro, and like I said, I enjoyed the grind. And Anja said, awesome, purpose filled. So it's nothing like when you're relatable, because you have had persons that have gotten to certain milestones, and because they think that they've arrived,
they start to plateau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Really?
I use the analogy one of my soccer coaches told me a while back. He was like, the moment you think that you've arrived, you start to fall. And it can't be any more true than that. I mean, that's the reality of it. The day I think that I know everything about soil is the day my company starts to decline. And whether you like it or not, that's what it is. And like I said, at the end of the day, if only those 2 people who commented watch this video, if one of them takes something away from this in a positive light, I cool with that. I cool with that, because that's you, them 2 that listen. And if I get 1 or 3, that's my $1 I save.
Hello. And that's the mindset I try to tell persons that I'm connected to. Like for me, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the crowd. It's for that one person that may be impacted.
I don't know if you watch. So like
watch
this
the lives,
poster right here, this represent poster. This is from Transformation Church here in Tulsa. I don't know if you ever heard of Mike Todd, Pastor Mike Todd.
Yeah.
That's my church. That's my pastor. That's the church that I attend. He said something in his Crazy Face series. He was like, it's not crazy, and it's crazy until it happens. Nike used it as well. And really it's funny, because that's when I was going through that time in life and when I got fired and all that. This was the series that he was preaching at the time. And I'm going to ramble for a second, but I went to church with first time my sisters visited me. This is the first time me and all my siblings have been together ever. I've got 2 siblings that live in Texas, so they drove up to Oklahoma to see me, and we went to church and everything. So we were leaving church because we all follow Transformation Church. They do it online, obviously, because they can't attend the church. But we went to church one day and we were about to leave. And I was like, you know what? Let's go, let's go grab lunch before y'all start to drive back. I don't want y'all driving back to Texas too late, because I don't want y'all driving at night. So I was about to leave. We were literally about to walk out the door. And something from the minute service was over, something was telling me, get prayer for you and your sisters. Get prayer, go get prayer, go get prayer. I was like, we can be straight. We take a picture in the front of the backdrop, all that stuff after church. So we were walking back to the parking garage. And literally, as I was about to, I asked them, I was about to walk out the door, like step literally foot through the doorway to leave and go into the parking garage. And something turned me around and made me ask them, y'all go get prayer. Literally, I was standing with the door right here, and they were right here behind me. We were about to walk on. I said, y'all go get prayer. And if they had said no, we probably wouldn't have gone to get prayer. So they were like, yeah, of course. Like, why not? Why not? So we went in, got prayer, and we were like, the lady was like, what are we going to pray for today? And I was like, you know what? I just want to pray for us, for this unity, that we continue to grow together and get stronger, even though we haven't been in each other's lives when we were young and all this stuff. And when I was like, oh, let me pray for one more thing. I want to open this company, because I was working for the Grow Supply store at the time. Mm-hmm. It's like, I want to open this company. So I just want you to pray over it. And if this is the right thing, or this is what I should be doing, then God just reveal it, essentially. She's like, all right, fine. So I'll pray for you guys first. Let's hold hands, and then after I'll pray for you. I was like, all right, cool, plan. So she prayed for us, went by, held all our hands, boom, that was it. We were done. She held my hand. She was like, could I hold your hands to pray for you? Go ahead, go out. Go. My dogs, they're trying to get them to go back in the front room. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. No. Go. These dogs. But yeah, so we she started to pray for me or whatever. And then she got done and I was like, okay, good. And she was like, I want to tell you something. I want you, whatever it is you're thinking about doing, I don't know what it is, but whatever the God is telling me, to listen, you need to stop being afraid. The only reason you're not doing what you want to do or what you have planned is because you're just in your purpose right now. Whatever you're doing, you're in your purpose, but you're not walking in it. She was like, if this opening your company is what you feel like you need to do, you need to go ahead and do it. She's like, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, you're not going to know what God has for you blessing-wise until you just step out and do it. So my sisters was looking at me like, but whatever she talking about, you need to go do it.
Yeah.
And, that again, that was just like another sidetrack, obviously, story. But yeah, so yeah, that's me.
Awesome, wonderful. Listen, it has been awesome. And like I said, my takeaway is that, regardless of what challenge comes, regardless of how my situation look, just keep it moving. Just keep it moving.
Put your head down and keep pushing.
That's all. And I appreciate you, Valen, for just taking this opportunity to come and share your story, your journey with us.
Thank you for having me.
I am sure that whomever is watching will be blessed, has been blessed. And I pray that God will continue to cover you and keep you. A lot of times we are afraid to do things and we are just, wondering if it's going to work here, if it's going to work there. And so we have this uncertainty. Fear sets in, and once we say, you know what, I'm going to take the chance and I'm going to get it done and I'm going to do it. And that's it. We go and we'll be surprised to know what the outcome would be. Today was a day where I had an assignment that I did, and I called a few persons and I said, listen, this is what I want to do. I was contemplating because I was like, Lord, this is what you tell me to do. How you want me to do this? I don't have the first dollar to do this, but you want me to do this? How you figure it? I said, you know what? All right, you ain't never failed me yet. So let's do this. So seeing that you gave this to me, right? That means you have a plan. So let me follow through. And every person that agreed to do it with me today had some sort of issue or hiccup. And so I was like, you know something? Every time that there's a challenge or every time that there's something that I needed to do or needs to do, is always a challenge, is always a hiccup. And I was reminded, listen, nothing comes without a challenge if it's not within the purpose that you're walking. I'm like, okay. Okay. And so I want to encourage you with that. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, whatever it is that you've started to do and you've kind of put it down, pick it back up. Pick it back up. It's a reason that you are given that idea. It's a reason that, that God has placed certain people, situations in your life. And so in order for you to find out exactly what it is, how you're going to get from where you are now to where you need to be, you have to finish the process. And so that's what I want to encourage you tonight to do. Finish the process. In order for you to get the gold medal, you have to cross the finish line, right? So cross the line and watch the doors open, and you'll be like, well, Mado, If I didn't know that, I would have done this long time. Living, breathing testimony to that. So don't allow fear to take a hold of what you're capable of doing. Don't allow persons to speak negativity when you know that you have a desire and a passion to do something, especially if God gave it to you. And the funny thing is, people can always see before you can. People will realize the gifts that you have, the talents, the anointing that you have. But if you don't make up in your mind that you're going to do it no matter what, it's not going to happen. And so tonight, I leave you with that. And I pray that something that was said tonight would encourage you, motivate you to get up and get it done. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining in. Listen, with all of these lives, I have had a phenomenal time. And like I was telling Valen before he got cut off, I don't look at the numbers. To me, the numbers doesn't matter. You know what matters to me? That if only one person get what I'm saying or what is being presented or what is being said, that is what matters. If I can encourage you to move from where you are to where you need to be, my mission has been accomplished. And that's just what I want to see. I want to help you to be a better you. So when you look back 3, 4, 10 years from now, and you can say, Matos, I remember when Tamika said this, or I remember when Tamika did this, and it motivated you to do what you was wanting to do, or to help, just get it done. And so that's just what it is. Support to be supported. You encourage me, I encourage you. That's how we build and grow each other. That's what it is. And so tonight, thank you so much, my darlings, for tuning in. I appreciate and I love all of you. And I am so looking forward to what 2021 has to offer, what's in store. This year has been a phenomenal year, regardless of everything that has happened. It just was to know where your faith is in God. That's my takeaway for this year. I can't tell you for nobody else, but I can tell you for Tia Tamika, I have learned to trust solely on God. And like Valen said earlier, God has a way of placing situations in our lives in order for us to refocus and think that, listen, where you think you was headed or what you think you wanted to do, no. So I can need you to rethink that. I can need you to understand exactly what the real purpose is that I have for you to do. So good night, my darlings. And I trust and I pray that your takeaway tonight will be something that will carry you for the rest of your journey. And stuff. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate you all, as I always do. And I look forward as we continue to have conversations about building and growing and expanding and learning from each other. Until the next moment, my darlings, have an absolutely wonderful evening. Take care.